Hello, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new, thank you so much for being here. I am Michelle, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about nightmares because this was something that was such a big part of my life experience and caused me a lot of suffering for so many years that I feel like I've come to a place where I'm no longer afraid of my dreams and they no longer bleed into my daily life in a way that they used to. And so I just want to share that information because I know a lot of people have nightmares. It's actually one of the ways that our subconscious is working through things. And one of the biggest things that really helped me was learning that actually there are things that we work through when we're sleeping through our dreams so that we don't have to experience them in our physical reality. You might be holding things in your energetic body that are ready to be released. So rather than having to play those energies out in our daily experience, our subconscious works through them in our dream state sometimes and releases that energy. So nightmares can actually be very beneficial to us in that way. I used to wake up from nightmares and have this feeling of disappointment, like it meant that I wasn't doing well or that I was in the lower frequencies, or that I had done something wrong, or that something bad was going to happen, that it was like a premonition that something bad was going to happen. And I just want to say you can let all of that go, because part of the human experience, we are in this duality experience, and most of us, especially if you're listening to this, have been here for many, many, many lifetimes. And there are things from our ancestral line that we are clearing, that we hold in our cellular DNA in our bodies, that we are bringing up to heal and clear. And it's not about doing anything wrong. In fact, oftentimes when you're on the spiritual path, what's happening is as you're opening up to more of who you truly are and you're allowing this expansion and more of your true soul light to come in, you have to release what you're holding that is of the lower frequencies that kind of can't come with you into that next octave. So as you are expanding into more of who you are and facing the shadow and loving these parts of yourself, things are going to come up. They're going to come up in your physical reality and they're going to come up in your sleep. And it's just part of the process. It's not to be judged as bad or good. It's just part of the process. So I just want to say that because I think that a lot of times when we're on the spiritual path, we can be very critical of ourselves and feel like we're supposed to be in these higher frequencies all the time, and if we're not, that we've done something wrong, or we're not doing a good job, or we're not getting anywhere. And that is really, really, really not true. So that is one piece of it. And another is to say that when you are having these dreams that you interpret as nightmares, that you wake up and you feel afraid, you feel emotionally charged, there are a couple things going on. One is that when we are asleep, our ego has moved aside. The part of us that is always protecting us in daytime and trying to keep us safe has stepped aside, so our subconscious can really get through and speak to us. And so oftentimes things will happen in the dream state, and as soon as we wake up and our conscious mind comes back online, whatever just happened that we're remembering is going through that filter of fear that often our conscious mind holds around whatever it is that we were experiencing. So we will interpret that often through the lens of fear, but it might not actually have been anything fearful. So what I've realized is that 9 times out of 10, the characters in our dreams are us. They're aspects of our multidimensional selves. We are every lifetime our soul has ever lived, we are connected with. Our inner child is still very much a part of who we are. In fact, oftentimes our inner children are running the show and we don't realize it. We're multidimensional. There are so many aspects to our being. And part of healing and coming into wholeness, into this place where we're embodying more of our light and our truth and our essence, is starting to integrate all of these parts of us. And the beauty of starting to work with your dreams is that, at least through my personal experience, I spent so many years being afraid of the characters in my dreams, because often it was like the wounded masculine, and they seemed aggressive in the dream or scary. And what I realized through working with my dreams and decoding them and asking questions is that these were actually parts of me. I had recently had a couple dreams about blackbirds. Well, actually, once I just woke up with the word blackbird in my head, and then I had another one. And I wasn't really sure what the meaning, and I wasn't really getting the message when I asked, because sometimes if you really want to know the answer to something, you can kind of block yourself. So it's okay when that happens, don't worry, just give it space, put it out there that you want to understand what the meaning is, and trust that anything you need to know will not miss you. It'll just keep coming in one way or another, and just be open and receptive and trust that you're going to get the message you need to get. But I had this dream where I was up in this high-rise building. There were these big glass windows, and I looked out, and there were just tons of blackbirds flying upwards. And there was this being that was just hovering in the air in front of the window, just staring directly at me. And when I woke up, the intensity of that stare and seeing all those blackbirds, which, you know, in our culture, you think of Alfred Hitchcock movies, or, you know, there's definitely a lot of symbolism out there where people will say that, you know, seeing crows or blackbirds could be also viewed from a negative light. But everything has its shadow and its light. So there's nothing has an inherently negative meaning or an inherently positive meaning. You have to always look at both sides. So when I woke up, I actually interpreted it in a fearful way. I felt like, was that being like some kind of a negative spirit, with the blackbirds all around, and then the one flew into the window, and it kind of like really left me feeling very uneasy and kind of like, what was that about? So I went down and I wrote everything down, and then I started to ask questions. And what came through the writing was that I was actually releasing, the blackbirds were symbolic of old patterns, old energy that I was releasing. And that being that was floating was just symbolic of that energy being mirrored to me. And it was actually a very positive dream about letting go and moving on. And I have to say, that day and for 2 days after that, I felt this lightness and this kind of effervescent feeling of joy that really confirmed what had come through in the writing. We really don't have to fear our dreams. It's really always just us. You know, we're so afraid of our shadow. We hold these deep-seated fears from all of the lives that our souls have experienced of, you know, we're afraid that deep down we're actually bad, or that we're not worthy, or that we're unlovable. You know, we've picked up all these fears over the many lifetimes of believing that we're separate and forgetting who we are and getting lost in the illusion. And so when these things come up now, whether it's in our life through our experiences or in our dreams, it's just releasing, you know, and we don't have to fear any of it, and none of it needs to be judged. It's really just energy that's releasing. And sometimes you're going to be floating in the higher frequencies and having beautiful dreams, and life is just going to feel easy and magical, and you're going to feel in the flow and alignment. And then you're going to go through days or weeks or hours where you feel really low and you have this kind of heavier, denser energy that needs to move through. And if you can just not attach to it and try not to judge yourself and try not to take it as a sign that you've done something wrong, it's just going to move through. And if you can actually take it a step further and really ask, what is this showing me? You know, oftentimes it's just parts of you that need more love. I've had the experience of aspects of myself. In the dream, I was a character, and then there was a male character that was shouting at me, you know, that was homeless and yelling at me. And through my writing, realized that was an aspect of me. It was some other lifetime that my soul has lived where I felt completely forgotten and abandoned. And that part of me was coming up because I was doing all of this healing and being present and allowing more of my light in, so that that part of me was ready to come up for healing. And so all it needed was for me to love it, just to love that aspect, just to witness it and love it. And it's through our conscious awareness and our presence of what's going on in our daily life and in our dream life that we integrate all that we've ever been, and our life starts to reflect this lighter, brighter, truer essence of our divinity through our experiences and our relationships. And I'm probably going to remember things that I wish I had said on this video, but I'll just make another one if I do. But I just wanted to say that you don't need to fear your nightmares. You don't need to worry that they're telling you something bad is going to happen. They do send you messages sometimes that our human self interprets as scary. And sometimes, you know, you might be learning about something that's manifesting as a physical health condition through your dream state that your body wants to bring your attention to. And while that may bring up fear, just know that it's being shown to you in your dream state so that you can actually course correct, because anything that happens to our physical bodies begins first on an energetic level. And when we start paying attention to our dream state and our subconscious, our spirit, our higher self can send through these messages so that we can become aware of something that we might not otherwise have been aware of and address it, you know, bring more love to ourselves. Maybe it's indicating that we need to bring more attention to our diet or our exercise or some aspect of our life so that we don't manifest that in a physical way. So this is one way that we can really start to access this part of ourself that is running 95% of our life like a program in the background, that's informing our emotions, which inform our decisions. And once we start to really embrace it and work with it rather than fear it, it just becomes such an amazing gift to be able to get these insights. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope that next time you have a nightmare, rather than worrying about it, you can ask what the message is for you and kind of really dive into that, and just trust that it's just reflecting something to you, some aspect of yourself that either is just coming up for healing and clearing, and all it needed to do was come to your conscious awareness, and that was it. Or sometimes if it needs more, if it's showing you something that needs your attention, you don't have to worry about missing anything, because your higher self, your spirit will always bring it back. If you need something, it's going to keep coming to you until you get it. It's going to come to you in different ways. So there's no need to worry about any of it or be afraid that you've missed any messages. And you can always ask, you know, sometimes I'll have a dream that I just don't understand, you know, or if there's a big emotional charge, oftentimes I think I block myself. Because even with what I know now, I think there's parts of me that are afraid of what the answer is. But I don't worry about that anymore, because I know that I can just let it go and put out the intention that whatever I needed to know from the dream will continue to come to me in different ways until I get it. And it always does. So thanks so much for listening. I hope that I've given you something valuable to work with. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.